this 4-panel sometimes to start off when I'm in this piece of the studio because it gives a good glimpse from Ellicottville to Lake Erie to Niagara Falls. And the Falls is the spot I actually want to take you, because if you look at the loop over just the last half hour, you see what I mean. Now, the last shot is spectacular with that rainbow setting up, but in between there, you get that quick punch, and I'll let it loop one more time. This is the type of stuff we're still tracking. There is still a cold front to our west. So while the main event was earlier this morning, they put an 8-hour loop here just so you can see the beginning of it, starting at 9:30 in the morning. You see that line? That's the piece that was moving at 55 to 60 miles per hour, a couple down trees. On the back edge of it, though, we still have a front. It's right about here. It's to the east of Detroit, to the west of Buffalo. And it's been enough. I'll go to a shorter loop here. This is 3 hours. You can see a few showers still popping up ahead of that boundary, right outside Hamilton, heading toward the Falls. That's the one we just looked at on camera. And there have been a couple of others right along the edge of northern Niagara County. So that's what we just looked at on the camera. It's not out of the question for that to produce lightning. It looks like it's weakening a little bit as it gets to the edge of the lake breeze, but that's at least one thing we're watching. So we're mostly clear, especially to the south of this area. Now, we do have a model. This is one of our high-res models that still brings in a chance for a shower even across our eastern southern tier. The chance is open till about 7, maybe 8 p.m. tonight. And notice a few areas up toward Batavia as well. Then the front moves through, and then we're quiet. So for Friday, we'll actually be quiet out there. Winds will settle down. It will be a bit cooler of a day. Right now, it's still kind of murky out there. I mean, it feels humid, and that's what these storms would tap into. Any storms that we see beyond what we've already had this morning. And there's a look at temperatures. 66 in Buffalo. That has to do with some of that lake breeze getting in toward the city and actually all the way to the airport. Here's a look at temperatures that we're heading into tonight. I mentioned tomorrow will be cooler, and then at least into the start of the Memorial Day weekend, we are looking at a window for showers, potentially a few strong to severe thunderstorms once again. We'll take a closer look at maybe the better chance areas to find that opportunity and the best timing we have, at least as of the moment, coming up. Jackie?
Thank you, Todd. And to stay up to date on the forecast and weather-related watches and warnings that can affect the area where you live, you can download the News 4 app. It's available for Apple and Android devices. We have an update tonight on the investigation into Buffalo Common Council member Ulysses Wingo bringing a gun into Riverside High School. News 4's Christy Kern tells us why the district attorney will not be filing charges. Christy?
Jackie, District Attorney John Flynn announced today he will not file charges against Wingo. We also heard from Mayor Byron Brown about the situation today, and he says from what he understands, this was all a mistake. Mayor Brown says Councilman Wingo is licensed to carry a concealed weapon, but he says he did not intend to bring it into the event at Riverside High School last week. Once he realized it was on him, Mayor Brown says Wingo turned it into the principal, where it was stored in a safe until after the event. Now, the school reported it 2 days later. Mayor Brown says while it was a mistake, it was still taken seriously, and DA John Flynn had something similar to say.
This, again, is me using my prosecutorial discretion here and using a little common sense and not charging Councilman Wingo with a felony, because he did the right thing in essence by putting the gun in a safe, taking the clip out, telling the principal right away, et cetera, et cetera.
I think if a member of the public had done the same thing and self-reported, I would see that as a mistake as well. Obviously, we never want to see a gun going into a school building. The council member has acknowledged that. I think he's sick over it. He's a major advocate for children and our schools. It was the wrong thing to do, but I think taking responsibility is critically important, and that's what Councilmember Wingo has done.
Now, the head of the Buffalo Teachers Union, however, says Wingo has not accepted responsibility and calls that unacceptable. Philip Remore released a statement saying, in part, quote, illegal and dangerous action by Common Council member Ulysses Wingo was a matter of grave concern. Now, we are getting reaction from Remore about the district attorney's decision to not file charges against Wingo, and you will hear what he has to say coming up tonight on News 4 at 10 and 11 o'clock. Reporting live in the studio, Christy Kern, News 4 at 5:30.
Thank you, Christy. Defense attorneys got a look inside the limousine that crashed near Albany last fall, killing 20 people. Nauman Hussein ran the limo company involved in the crash. He's been charged with criminally negligent homicide. His attorney says a team of experts will take as long as they need to inspect that limo, even if it takes days.
We want to make sure that we conduct the most thorough examination we can so that we can explain not just to the jury but to the public at large, why Mr. Hussein is not guilty.
Hussein's trial is set to begin in September. The defense expects it to be pushed back. Well, new at 5:30, a 63-year-old Toronto woman is facing charges tonight after the U.S. attorney says she tried to smuggle 2 people across the U.S. border. Assistant U.S. Attorney Jonathan Cantle says a Border Patrol agent found an empty car near Lewiston Landing. After investigating, he found Marianne Langridge waving down a boat on the Niagara River. Agents eventually approached Langridge and 2 others who had gotten off the boat and identified the pair as citizens of other countries without proper documentation. Langridge has been charged with aiding and abetting alien smuggling. A Cheektowaga family hopes to keep the man convicted of killing their brother and son in jail. Joseph Lawrence died in October of 2014 when he got into a fight with his friend and landlord, Thomas Sazniak. Sazniak shot and killed Joseph Lawrence, but in the 2015 bench trial against him, a judge sentenced Sazniak on second-degree manslaughter.
By definition, manslaughter in the second degree has to involve an accident. And we never viewed this crime as being an accident.
And now, under 5 years later, he's already up for parole. Tonight on News 4 at 6, Erica Brecker interviews Joseph Lawrence's family about their ongoing pain and legislation that could keep people convicted of these crimes in prison longer. Well, some New York State business owners say they have concerns when it comes to the legalization of marijuana. The Business Council of New York State represents about 2,400 businesses, chambers of commerce, and trade associations across the state. The council says its members are concerned about being able to test employees they suspect are impaired by marijuana. The council's director of human resources says workers who can perform a task while impaired still pose a threat to the workplace.
Someone might be able to do widget making impaired by marijuana, but they could fall down the stairs. Employers would like to have the opportunity to prevent people who have been using cannabis to not be in the workplace and put themselves, their coworkers, or their customers at risk.
The Business Council does not have a formal position on the legalization of recreational marijuana. Well, the State Health Department says there are now 300 confirmed cases of measles here in New York State. Corina Capabianca is at the state capitol learning what some lawmakers are doing to prevent a future outbreak.
It's a dangerous virus the Department of Health says is best prevented by having a vaccine. And that's why some lawmakers say the time to expand the use of vaccinations is now.
New York is following the lead of California, which had a measles outbreak back in 2014. But the difference between California and New York is that California acted after only 131 cases.
Senator Brad Hoylman is sponsoring legislation to eliminate non-medical exemptions for vaccines.
When parents send their kids to schools, they should know that their kid's going to be safe.
It's really trying to address the safety of the public at large while we try to balance off the interests of those who may need or require, for instance, a medical exemption.
Meanwhile, groups like Children's Health Defense are calling on lawmakers to vote against the bill. Assemblyman Richard Gottfried, who chairs the Assembly Health Committee, says in a statement, "I adamantly believe in vaccination and the importance of getting as close to 100% vaccination rate as possible. At the same time, respecting people's individual religious beliefs is an important constitutional value. I am carefully thinking through this issue. I have told the sponsor of the bill to bar religious exemptions." He says he will put the bill on the committee's agenda for a motion to report the bill when the sponsor is ready based on his vote count. At the state capitol, Corina Capabianca.
Well, more money from Albany will help an important 24-hour phone hotline to stay available for people who need it. Crisis Services announced a state award of $209,000 for the agency here in Erie County. Operators help people with critical needs, including many who are considering suicide. In all, operators spent 58,000 minutes on the phone in 1 year.
Statistics remind us that hope is real. That when someone reaches out for help and someone is there 24 hours a day, a crisis can be overcome. It is our vision that we are a community where people in crisis find safety, help, and hope.
Crisis Services has been answering calls here in Erie County since 1968. Well, straight ahead, how a purple sticker can protect you from skin cancer. We'll show you this locally made product coming up. And later, friends and family in Texas remember Bills superfan Pancho Villa.
During the West-Her Spring into Summer Sales event, the deals are flying out of here. In part because West-Her's set aside $50 million to buy your trade-in. We need your trade, any year, make, or mileage. Go to westher.com and get your instant trade-in value. Then head to your nearest West-Her location and confirm your value. That easy, that fast. The Spring into Summer Sales event with $50 million set aside right now because we need your trade.
Welcome to West-Her, New York. WeatherTech is known for providing the ultimate protection for your vehicle with laser-measured floor liners and cargo trunk liner, along with seat protectors and seat back protectors. And now the WeatherTech Cup Phone with removable cups fits virtually any size cup holder and adjusts to fit virtually any size phone. Even allows easy access while charging. Whatever you drive, whatever phone you have, Cup Phone is the perfect fit. Order yours today at WeatherTech.com.
The rule of three states, things that come in threes are inherently more appealing. We couldn't agree more. Three SUVs, one GMC. Current eligible non-GM lessees get this low-mileage lease on this 2019 Acadia SLE1 for around $199 per month. Or get this low-mileage lease on this 2019 Terrain for around $179 per month.
Summer's here, and so are the deals. At Raymore and Flanagan's Memorial Day sale, everything's on sale, including outdoor furniture. Living, dining, and bedrooms up to 25% off. Plus, get a free adjustable base with the purchase of select mattresses, with no interest financing for 72 months with equal payments. And come in store today for a chance to win a 7-day trip to Greece. Spend more time relaxing this summer with delivery in 3 days or less. Shop now at Raymore and Flanagan.
The rule of three states, things that come in threes are inherently more appealing. We couldn't agree more. Three SUVs, one GMC. Current eligible non-GM lessees get this low-mileage lease on this 2019 Acadia SLE1 for around.
Severe storms and high water continue to hit the heartland tonight. So far, these recent storms have claimed the lives of 3 people there. In southwestern Missouri, a campground has been completely flooded. You can see the cars are halfway submerged there. Crews were able to take out boats and rescue the people. Getting to these communities has been a challenge for first responders. Flooding has made many roads impassable. Also in Missouri, an apparent tornado caused significant damage to a 24-hour daycare center. Today, people in Jefferson City were walking through that damaged facility. The storm tossed around toys, broke windows and fences. The operators of the daycare were thankful that no one was hurt.
Yeah, they okay, but I mean, just to experience that, you know what I mean? Like that's crazy. They called us on the phone. And I hurried up. I'm on my way.
Well, in addition to the 3 deaths during the storm, many more people were hurt during the severe storm in Missouri. A little purple sticker could be the answer to helping protect yourself from skin cancer. News 4's Angelica Morrison has more from a local company that makes them.
Protecting your skin from the sun this summer could get a lot easier. A local startup company says they might be able to help with that. They're UV detection stickers, and this is how they work.
Before you put your sunscreen on, you apply the purple sticker anywhere on your skin, and then you'll put sunscreen over it. And when we're outside, not on a stormy day, when there's sun outside, you will put your sunscreen on and it'll turn clear to let you know you're protected. Emily, do you have your clear one on?
I do.
Yeah, so Emily's is clear, so she's protected.
The little purple stickers are made right here in Buffalo, and they not only tell you when you need more sunscreen, but they let you know how much to use. One of the most common sunscreen mistakes is not applying enough.
Because most people really only use about a quarter to a third of the amount of sunscreen that they really need. So we tell people to put the sunscreen on the sticker, see how much they needed for it to go clear, and then apply the same amount all over their body.
Now, melanoma, which is skin cancer, is the 19th most common cancer worldwide. One of the top causes of the cancer is exposure to ultraviolet rays from the sun or tanning beds.
So I can certainly speak for myself and a lot of people that I know that when the sun comes out in Canada and Buffalo, I spend a lot of time outside enjoying that sunshine, and then you're a little less likely maybe to think about some of the negative impacts of enjoying that sunshine.
Now, the stickers aren't available at retail stores just yet, but you can find them online. There's a link to their website on our website, WIVB.com. Reporting in Hamburg, Angelica Morrison, News 4.